Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Cruising your way on this episode of Off 90. We visit a Veterans Museum in Adams. We learn about old town baseball leagues in Minnesota. We talk to a chainsaw wood carver in Hugo. And we check out a stick house near St. Cloud. It's all just ahead, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Off 90. There's something special about the American Legion post in Adams. It's connected to the Adams Armed Forces Museum, a place dedicated to era veterans. Members of the post volunteered their services to convert an empty storefront into the museum, which opened its doors in 2008. Members of the American Legion Post 146 hope the museum reminds us of the sacrifices made for our freedoms.
This guy, he wanted to get it done, and that's what he did, and then they just asked for people to bring stuff, and this stuff in here is all donated. Vance here, he spent putting a whole year in here. Every day, he was here even on Sunday someday, and he had a lot of volunteer help, and that's how this thing got going. My name is Jerry Matthias. I live in Adams, Minnesota. Yeah, we kind of had a big effort to get the thing going. There was a lot of volunteers. It's been here 9 years now, the 1st of June.
Now you notice that here it's divided into little areas, little rooms. This used to be a furniture store at one time. My name is Wayne Robertson. I live in Rose Creek now. Originally, I grew up on a farm north of St. Ansgar, Iowa. They usually have a member of the Legion help lead people through the museum and just kind of watch the museum, so there's always a military presence or a Legion presence here. And I take my turn doing that. And also, I was on the board of the museum here at one time too. I have my uniform here in the museum, my dress uniform when I was in the Army.
That's kind of neat when people, they got stories on all of them a little bit and stuff like that. Like this, there's an airplane replica behind us that this guy brought in. He was here one time and he wanted to know if we wanted a replica of the plane that he flew in Vietnam. He said it'll take a while to get it. So and then they brought it and it's sitting right behind us there.
Over behind me in the display unit on that far wall is a Purple Heart that a friend of mine that lost his life in Vietnam. It used to be his, and I got it, and so I put it in the museum. So that's kind of special. I went to college with him. His name was John Osheim. He lost his life in Vietnam.
For me, it's the stuff behind me, the Vietnam stuff, and then also that my brother out there that was killed in Cambodia in 1970. His picture's out there in the hallway, and I made a thing for it that says never forgotten, and that's probably the most important one to me.
Last year, the American Legion National Commander made a visit to our Legion, and we brought him through the Legion here, or through the museum, and he was really impressed.
Well, it's very important to me and important to all the Legion members that we have this kind of thing, that people look at this stuff. It's history. I mean, people should see it.
It was the heyday of town baseball in Minnesota. After World War II, Minnesota boasted hundreds of baseball teams in towns big and small. State tournaments were held, pitchers were paid by the inning. Minnesota athletes who made their mark in other sports would often go back to town baseball in the summer. Join us as we take a road trip with these ball players of yore.
On a good Sunday afternoon there against Oberlin or Rochester, there could be 4,000 people in the ballpark.
My name is Armin Peterson. I was a co-author of a book called Town Ball, The Glory Days of Minnesota Amateur Baseball. In 1940, basically on the eve of the war, there were 452 teams in the state. By 1950, we had 800 teams in the state. During the war, people made more money than there were goods to buy. You couldn't buy a toaster, you couldn't buy a car. So there was pent-up money and pent-up demand for social activities. Almost throughout the state, people were improving roads and spending things on civic improvements, and a lot of those improvements were fixing up the ball field or building a new one, installing lights. In the 1930s, baseball out in the rural areas was day baseball. Hormel and Wilson were instrumental in providing jobs for players in Albert Lea and Austin. Markuson Park in Austin was built like a lot of newer parks in that era, was built on a floodplain. And one reason is that the land was cheap. It was not good for agriculture or anything else. Markuson Park was a big draw for people. They had locker rooms in it. It had really decent amenities for an amateur or semi-pro team. In 1950, they averaged almost 2,700 fans per game.
And I don't know what this grandstand holds, but there was supplementary bleachers down both sides down to the outfield grass.
At the Polo Grounds on this Series Day -1, the Giants previewed this starting lineup with which they hope to win their first World Championship since 1933.
Professional baseball was widely publicized through, beginning in the 20s into the 30s. Babe Ruth, the Yankees, the World Series were big. They were front page news. In the 1950s, we never really got to see professional baseball players. The major leaguers, if we were lucky enough to have television, we might have seen the game of the day. But in the rural areas, that was a snowy reception. You didn't really get to see them. So the ball players we knew were our town team ball players, and they were our heroes. Emil Scheid was the fabled longtime manager of the Austin Packers. He was the guy that the opponents loved to hate because he was a bigger-than-life character.
He liked to get on the umpires once in a while. He was a real competitor, but he didn't yell at the players. They were men, and it was more management than coaching and screaming. I had a great time as bat boy with my dad.
He coached third base, had mannerisms that a lot of people thought reminded them of Casey Stengel, the famous manager of the New York Yankees.
He had a plumbing business, and he worked directly for Hormel's, and he had a source for employing new ball players at Hormel's, and the ones that he couldn't get a job in Hormel's or didn't want to work at Hormel's, he made plumbers out of them. What the teams were made out of were guys that were high school players that were good, outstanding, and then the recruits from college, maybe a couple.
Pretty soon it got to being that if you wanted to compete, you had to start going out and looking for professional players as well. There are a lot of famous Minnesotans who played sports other than baseball, whom you will find have played town team baseball. Herb Brooks, of course, is known as a hockey player and the coach of the famous 1980 Olympic champion hockey team. He was also a very good baseball player. He played town team ball in the Twin Cities. A lot of the Minneapolis Laker basketball players played town ball. And the reason was that they didn't get paid much. And George Mikan might have been the only one who made enough money to live on 12 months a year on his basketball salary. Back in Austin, Bill Skowron was recruited. He was a sophomore at Purdue in 1950. He played halfback on the football team, and he got recruited to come to play at Austin. And towards the end of the year, the Yankees were chasing him.
I was with the Yankees 9 years. We won 7 pennants. Wow.
Moose came to play baseball, and he also went to work for Scheid Plumbing and Heating. That summer, he did so well in Austin that he signed his contract on my dad's living room table in July or August for a big bonus at the time, $30,000, I think it was. I've got his baseball card here. He hit 300 for the Yankees for 5 or 6 years in a row.
Bud Grant was perhaps one of the more versatile athletes in University of Minnesota history, and of course was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles. He played a couple of years for the Minneapolis Lakers as well, but he always went back to baseball in the summer. The decline of town ball can be attributed to several conditions. One is the economy slowed down. The farmers didn't have as much money to spend, and the teams were spending too much money, and most of them had to pass the hat to ask for donations to keep the team solvent. And then television started, and people had something else to do now on Tuesday night. And people had more entertainment options. You noticed people were buying boats to go cruising on lakes or going fishing. Golf got to be a bigger game that had previously been only for fairly wealthy people. Now, a working man could play golf.
Pinch hitter John Mize outpulls brother infielders Phil Rizzuto and Jerry Coleman.
Baseball was the national sport. When they said it was a national pastime, it really was. People enjoyed getting together to watch their local boys play, even if the local boys were hired from outside. We didn't have television, and most people didn't have air conditioning. Going to a night game was a way to cool off, and plus it was a nice social occasion. You got to meet your neighbors. Historians now have said that baseball became a way for immigrants to become Americanized. The banker and the plumber and the grain elevator laborer, and the car mechanics all sat in the bleachers together. Bud Grant says he has a lot of fond memories of town team baseball. He wrote, "Town ball was a big playground in the 1940s and 1950s. I made more money playing baseball for town teams than I did playing basketball for the Lakers, and we won an NBA title. It was an amazing era, one that we will never experience again."
Ken Wells is a wood carver who goes against the grain when it comes to choosing his subjects. His creations seem like they belong on album covers for heavy metal bands. Learn about Ken's need for independence and where he gets his inspiration.
It's a passion. It keeps me sane, just like every artist feels that way, that I am more than this. I can go do this, I can grab this log and I can make this out of it. And the other thing is it challenges me to get more diverse, more far out, if you will. Every time I try something, I try to top my last piece. My name is Ken Wells, and I'm a wood carver of fantasy art. The reason I do what I do, fantasy art, and I call it heavy metal art, if you will, is because I've seen so many the bears and eagles. It's a pattern cut. Even I have been guilty of doing pattern cuts, but I would rather every piece be different, and no other wood carver is doing anything like it. And I really want to get a sense of energy, mystery out of it that you just don't get from your standard bear. I want every piece to tell a story. I would say probably 32 years I've been doing it. I started grabbing logs out of my dad's wood pile, and I started just playing around with that and gradually bought some more tools and made really bad art. But I loved doing it, so I kept doing it. My day will start and I will have no idea what I'm going to work on until I drive up here, and sometimes I'll get here and walk around in circles for a while and look at things and look at things. And I am a horrible sketch artist, so I do no drawings. I just try to remember the image I'm trying to get out of the wood, and then I go and do it.
I'll start carving something randomly, a skull or something, and then I'll work with some flame effects and just see where it goes. Then I'll figure out the general shape. I'll remove big chunks of wood and then just work it in from there. If I'm trying to get something real serpent-like and flowing, I'll use cedar for that. If I'm going to do, say, a face, you know, where I really want people to see the face, I don't want a lot of color running through it, so I'll go with something like pine, something a little more of a blonde wood. If I'm going to do a raven, I'll look for a dark wood, a black walnut or a Russian olive. I always start at the top, work my way down, then I can adjust as I go. This log, it looks straight, so there's not a lot of contours, so I'm not going to run into any surprises. I'll do a motorcycle lunging out of the ground, kind of like a comet. I'd like to cut hard and heavy at first, and then after a while I kind of like to slow down and make sure I don't screw up. I like the idea of it being one piece. That way the grain flows, you know, all the way through it, and it doesn't look like, you know, Elmer's glue, you know, stuck on.
One thing I do is I'm constantly circling it. If you stand in one spot too long, you'll lose that perspective. You'll forget what you're doing on the other side. It's different than sitting in front of an easel. You're just exhausted a lot of times from it. It's so physical. You really feel like you got a lot accomplished. It's just an accomplishment. It wasn't a wasted day at all. One is called Hell, and I wanted to do a real surrealistic piece that you could walk around and really never find a blank spot. It's filled with something. I really wanted something intense there. I wanted something that people would really look at and go, wow, this is just a pillar of agony. And that kind of intensity is what I really try to get. I've had negative feedback at times from people, but I generally gain strength from that, and I feel that separates me and sets me apart from other artists. And I don't think that all art should be warm and fuzzy. I think some things in art should make you feel and shock you maybe.
St. Benedict and St. John's University have a mission to bring art to Minnesota, and this particular piece is hard to miss. Lean on Me is a massive 3-story sculpture, and it's made entirely out of sticks.
Lean on Me plays that line between playful and a little bit eerie. It looks like the wind is kind of moving the whole structure a little bit, and it's definitely leaning.
I can't believe that somebody made it, but it also feels like it could have just grown there on its own.
It brings out that sense of exploration within us. We want to look around every corner and just explore that area.
Well, it's a sculpture that consists of 5 structures made out of sticks, and it's only out of sticks. There's no other material. Some of the vertical ones are planted into the ground to hold up horizontal and diagonal ones. It rises about 20, 30 feet, and it looks like maybe sort of an old sort of church or chapel kind of grouping of buildings. Patrick Doherty is an internationally recognized artist known for making these large-scale, monumental stick sculptures all around the world. And he came to visit the campus, and he said that at that time he was struck by, just in general, the architecture around St. John's and St. Ben's, especially the chapels and churches. And he actually really liked that idea of something that's just beckoning you to kind of go and explore, go out into the grasslands or into the woods, and that it's also kind of a church or a chapel. He doesn't make them by himself. He needs volunteers, a crew of assistants. So we recruited like crazy. We were putting posters up around campus and sending emails and bringing our students from our classes to the site as part of their classes. And by the end, we had over 300 volunteers from all of those areas. My sense is that that may have been as many volunteers as he's ever had help with one of these sculptures. The actual construction of the project took 3 weeks, and it was solid that 3 weeks, from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. every day. By the end of the day, he and all the volunteers are exhausted. We've been out in the sun, out in whatever the conditions were.
It was physically demanding as much as it was mentally demanding. People just kind of naturally have a sense of how to work with sticks. And once you get the style of what he's working with, it seems kind of natural to do the process. All the wood came from St. John's Arboretum, so we harvested all on site. The willow, it replenished itself very quickly, and so we wanted to get it from as close as we could. And the ironwood, we actually wanted to thin out so that different trees could take root in that area. So we were helping them fulfill their mission, but they were helping us fulfill ours. It took a long time to gather all those materials. We had over 10 loads in a tractor trailer that we weighed one of them that was 3,300 pounds. So there's over 15 tons of material in that structure. It was dusty, it was dirty, we were sweating, it was hot and humid out. And at the end of those 2 days, we thought, the hard part's over, thank God. We can go take it easy and work with the sticks on site now. And then that's when I realized that the hard part was just beginning. We're bending sticks, and oftentimes these are ironwood that are 3 inches around and trying to bend those through. So it was hard. It's called stick work for a reason. To give it the leaning structure, we would tie the ironwood to the scaffolding with twine. So we end up using quite a bit of twine just to give it that leaning look. And then once we put in lots of other ironwood and more willow, the tension held it together and we removed all the twine. It's a very solid structure. I'm pretty confident you could drive a truck into it and it would not move. The only thing that'll take it down is time.
The reaction from the surrounding community started right from the beginning. I mean, people were driving by and, leaning out of their cars and yelling out, what are you doing? And my favorite was someone yelled out of their car and said, what does it mean? The appreciative audiences come from all backgrounds, all ages, but the ones that at least I think are most appreciative are the little kids. And you would hear them yelling out about, this being the home of Dr. Seuss, the Lorax, where the wild things are. Some of them got really into fairy tales they connected it to, and they all had questions about how did we do it and what kind of wood was it. So I felt like they were learning about issues of sustainability and art in this indirect way. It didn't really hit me till I could step back at the very end, just how big this was, not only as a large sculpture, but that we were getting people involved in the arts through this that otherwise maybe never would have stopped and paused to look at. To me, the significance of Lean On Me is evidence of the way that we maybe aren't as far from the process of building beauty out of materials around us as we might think we are. We can go and just make these amazing, beautiful things, and I think it inspires everyone who sees it to think of what they might make around them.
That's all for this episode. If you enjoy programs like Off 90, please show your support by becoming a member of KSMQ Public Television. Keep local programming vibrant in southern Minnesota. Give us a call at 507-481-2095 or 1-800-658-2539 or sign up online at ksmq.org. Thanks for watching. Join us next time. Off 90.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.